me ask you a question. Did your current job exist when you were born? If you're too young to have a job yet, that's fine. Maybe think of your parents' jobs. Will your current job exist in 20 years' time? I asked my network a similar question recently. Did your current job exist in the world when you were born? More than 400 people round the world responded, and 39% of them said that their job had not existed when they were born, not in any shape or form. The world of work is changing really quickly. We've all heard the concept of career ladders. I'm going to argue that that concept is really outdated now, a bit like DVDs or dial-up telephones. Now, it's more of a kind of career spiral staircase. Why do I say this? Well, careers are long, and they're getting longer. In the late 40s, when my parents were born, the average lifespan was 70 years, and about 40 of that was spent working. Today, in the UK, the pensionable age is around 50 years after you're planning to leave school. But in their book, A 100-Year Life, Professors Grattan and Scott argue that children born in this decade are likely to have to work 60 or 70 years in one form or another. 60 or 70 years. These are long careers, and at the same time, the world is changing really quickly. Think technological advancements, think globalization, think demographic changes, environmental concerns, think flexible working. AI, which you're hearing a lot about tonight, is also making changes. It's going to make some jobs obsolete in 10 or 20 years. And not just the obvious jobs that you think AI might take over. We've got bricklaying robots now. We've got self-driving cars. All sorts of jobs are going to get disrupted. In fact, the World Economic Forum says that over the next 5 years, 23% of jobs could get disrupted, either created or destroyed. That is a lot of jobs. So it's very unlikely that the job that you start in, the career you start in, is going to be the career that you finish in. In the generation above me, the baby boomers, the average job length was 8 years. My generation, Gen X, the average job length is 5 years. For Gen Z, that's currently 2 years and 2 months. It's very likely that you will pivot in your career, and it's very likely that you might pivot more than once. Now, that's not necessarily because your perfect linear career ladder doesn't exist anymore. Perhaps it will. But if you're going to be working for 60 or 70 years, you might well want to try 2 or 3 different careers in that time. You might not pick the right one straight out of university, straight out of school. And that's great. You might have that opportunity. In fact, just this last week, I met 4 or 5 people that have done this. I've met a lawyer who's an employment lawyer who's now a business coach. I met a medic who became a violinist. I met another lawyer who was working in London for 20 years and then have spent the last 10 years as a maths teacher living near the beach. I've met an ecologist who has set up her own human rights advisory boutique after working for 15 years in a big corporate. This is my story too. I did a natural sciences degree. I learned about rock formations and geology. I learned about brain structures. I actually wrote my dissertation on gestational diabetes in rats. And then I went into investment banking, and I never used any of that information again. I spent 10 years as a banker, and then I did my first career pivot. That pivot was to run a strategy team for a large television company based in Luxembourg. Now, my parents, who had had very linear teaching careers, were very surprised by this. They were much more surprised about 4 years later when I did another massive career pivot, and I took a job that not only I, but nobody else I knew had ever heard of, chief of staff, working for Skype, a company that was only 6 years old at the time. Doing video calling, this was a concept that had just been born. So you see, you can really make some big changes. And that spiral staircase is not a beautifully designed, architected spiral staircase with perfect curves. It's like a spiral staircase in an old house where you've got landings and you've got steep bits and you've got some bits that quickly turn the corner, and it's not what you expect. This is going to make some people feel a bit anxious and unprepared for the future. In fact, educational think tank XQ recently did a survey, and 93% of their respondents said that they didn't feel that high school adequately prepared children for a successful future. I was asked, as somebody who's run companies that have employed people at all ages and stages over the years, what did I think that schools could do to better prepare students for this unknown future? I thought about this. How on earth, I thought, could my school have better prepared me for the career I've ended up having? How can schools prepare kids for careers where we can't see what the world's going to look like in 10 or 20 years? Well, I believe that schools can indeed prepare children for a future like that, because I believe that there are learnable skills that can really help you in this world, even if you can't tell what's exactly around the corner. When I think of what skills you need for a job or for a career, I think of them in 3 buckets. The first is technical skills. These are sometimes known as hard skills. They're the things that you need, that you can learn on the job or at school, things like designing a building, building an Excel spreadsheet, learning how to take blood pressure readings accurately, learning how to fix a car. As a student, I learned how to make ham and cheese crepes without burning my wrists. And as an investment banker, I learned how to do discounted cash flow analyses to value companies. You can see why schools might not teach absolutely everybody all of these skills. But maths, English, computer skills, data skills are really good building blocks. The second bucket of skills is like soft skills. These are things like how to think creatively, how to think analytically, how to collaborate with people, how to work with your team, how to manage people, how to listen, how to empathize, how to make your argument, how to deliver what you say you're going to deliver when you say you're going to deliver it. This is important in every single sort of job, at every single level. Whether you're a barista, an entrepreneur, whether you're an influencer or have a desk job in a bank. But these skill buckets are well understood by schools and already being used in career services to help inform how they help children develop skills for the workplace. But I'm going to argue that there's a third set of skills that you need in today's career, and that is the set of pivoting skills. Pivoting skills are the skills that you need to help you navigate a career where you're carving your own path in a world that's changing. They're the skills that you need to get your sofa of a self up that kind of winding staircase successfully. Now, the good news is these skills are learnable. And I would think of them like this, as 3 friends trying to get that sofa of a career up a staircase. You've got the guy at the top who's looking out for the twists and turns, trying to get you prepared. That person may be yelling, "Pivot! Pivot!" And if you don't get that reference, I apologize. The second friend might be doing the heavy lifting, and the third is really stopping your sofa falling back down to the bottom and leaving you in a crumpled heap. So these are the skills that I think they represent. The first friend represents the skills like curiosity and courage. The curiosity is keeping informed, keeping your antennae up, learning what's happening in the world, thinking about things in your industry, talking to people in other industries to keep yourself informed, to understand what's going on. The second is courage. That's getting out of your comfort zone, trying something new, putting yourself out there. And sometimes you fail and you have to pick yourself up and learn again, but you've learned to take that risk, and that's courage. The second friend represents the heavy lifting. That heavy lifting comes because curiosity and courage are not enough. You have to actually put the work in. I think of this as lifelong learning on the one hand and hustle on the other. Lifelong learning is about turning that all of the things you've learned in your curiosity into action. That could be things like taking courses. It could be experimenting with ChatGPT. It could be that you get involved in the green initiatives in your company, or that you try out some of the new technologies in your own department. Do not be the person who has to ask your kids to find the content on the big screen on your TV because you don't know how the remote works. Hustle is the thing that goes with that. So for hustle, there's 7 billion people in the world. Those opportunities that you want are not just going to just land in your lap. You have to go out and find those opportunities. And when you found that opportunity, you also need to take advantage of them. Don't turn up to an interview that you haven't bothered to prepare for, that you haven't done a practice for. You may not get another opportunity like that, and people around the world would love that opportunity. So that's hustle, that's bothering. The third friend is really about resilience. Now, it's not easy putting yourself out there in an uncertain world, getting out of your comfort zone, keeping trying. This is not necessarily great for your mental health. You have to look after yourself, and that's where resilience comes in. You need resilience, you need moral support, you need to make sure that you're not taking it personally, for example, if your job is made redundant. You need the ability to bounce back. You need the ability to stay hopeful, to stay optimistic, to stay positive. We call that resilience. Now, I'm not an expert in resilience. I think it means different things to different people, and you have to find out what it is for you. But there's a whole body of work that says that we can build resilience, that we can practice things that help us feel more resilient and more positive. The mental health charity Mind in the UK encourages us to build our support network and look after our well-being. For some people, that might mean going for walks, having ice baths, meditating, reading books, hugging trees. For some people, it's hanging out with family and friends. For me personally, I need enough sleep, I need enough exercise, and I need enough people. Sleep, I try to go to bed on time. I'm a fan of the power nap. Exercise, I've joined a running club, and I've run for about the last 23 years, and I love it. I'm very close to my family, but I've also put time into building a network, and over the last 10 years have built up a network of colleagues and friends in approximately the same industries as me that I can share notes with, share contacts with. These people remind me that I've got great qualities if something goes wrong. They give me advice when I need it, and hopefully I do the same for them. I call that's my third friend, that's my resilience, that's what it is for me. I think everybody has to work out what it is for them. So to conclude, the world has been changing fast, it will continue to change fast. The career that you start in may well not be the career you end up in, and that's okay. You can learn these skills and these practices of curiosity, of hustle, of working towards something, and you can build resilience. Job security, as we know it, will not exist in the future. Job security in the future will be knowing that you have the skills and the support network to cope with a changing world, to change with the world as it changes, so that you have got the ability to get that sofa up that staircase. Now, the great news is you can really learn those skills now. You can start today. That's very important. And if you're at school, you can start at school. So if you ask me what schools can deliver to kids today to help them cope with the real world and the new adulthood, that's what I would say. These pivoting skills, start now. You don't have to wait till you hit a corner on the staircase to learn these skills. Next time life yells pivot, you need to be ready. Thank you.